Welcome back, all my 40K fanatics out there. I'm DJ here with Tim's Nation to bring you my list. Yes, I said I was done with Necrons last week. What I actually meant was this was the last Necron list I would be running. And since it performed really, really well into Imperial Guard, I got to give this thing another try. So this is a list that I've messed with a bit. I've had a lot of success with. It's kind of a meme, but now it's starting to get mean. As the joke we've been making, this is a meme gone mean. And yeah, it's time to run the gauntlet. So for this video, I want to focus more on the technical aspect of it, why I think this list works, why I think this functions, and maybe might give some insight into what I see with these characters and the other levels and abilities they have, and might change up some of the things that you might want to run in your list. I know a couple of buddies of mine actually have been starting to run the triple Plasmancer that I'm doing in there just because of the cost and the efficiency that you get behind it to be able to do damage and float through walls in that sense. So there is some interesting stuff to it. Obviously, I give up Assassinate because 19 characters, 22 models. Yeah, that's a given. So let's jump over and talk about the list and just what's in it. And then we'll talk more about my theory behind it and why I think there's aspects to make this thing successful and what makes it kind of a hard counter for some lists. All right, let's take a look. All right, so here it is. This is my Awakened Dynasty character build. 19 units, 21 characters. 3 are vehicle, 2 are mounted. The rest are infantry. And that's important because the reason I'm taking this detachment, this dynasty, is the 1 command point stat that allows me to target an infantry character model during a phase in which he is destroyed. And at the end of that phase, stand him back up with half his wounds remaining. Real big with reanimation protocol, so I can then heal D3 back if this guy is completely, you can't charge him and shooting is done. It makes these guys really, really durable, especially since there is quite a few characters, including Mr. Illuminator Xeris. Nothing else from this detachment. It's that one stratagem and how many times I can try and use that thing in a game. All right. So now the units that I'm taking, first and foremost, we have the Silent King. Silent King is going to be on the reroll 1s to hit and wound aura pretty much the entire game. With Death Guard and especially that Champions of Contagion detachment, there's a possibility I might go into ignore modifiers because I might have to just to be able to get by how much they're able to stack as negative modifiers just to get around that stuff. Otherwise, the Silent King actually does kind of help more into that Horde matchup. He does have the big rocks to do damage into big things, but really a lot of his other damage is really good into those units. He doesn't do well punching up and go after other Primarchs and stuff like that, where some big Demon Primarchs and even our Space Marine Brethren Primarchs, they are not, they'll be able to beat him up pretty well. So there is that. But into those infantry, playing cleanup, playing Zamboni, he is a very, very, very strong boost for this army. Next up, we have the 3 Overlords. Now, these 3 Overlords are going to play off that Silent King very well because these 3 Overlords are going to have a Tachyon Arrow. Overlords, toughness 5, 6 wounds, 2 up, 4 up, -1 damage, -1 CP when targeting with a strat, so reanimation strat becomes free, and the Tachyon Arrow. 60-inch range, might be 72, doesn't matter, table basically. Strength 16, AP 5, D6 +2 damage. Put him near the king. We're re-rolling 1s to hit, 1s to wound. Once per game. So it's a super hunter-killer missile. And my hope is that somebody has something that they're like, oh, okay, this is too durable. You can't take this down. I pop these guys out, put 3 shots into one big thing, and hope to stick some damage with them, and the Silent King, and just pour everything into this thing and actually be able to remove something big that normally shouldn't go down that quick, or at least put it at a very, very, very weak point. Now, going into some of the infantry, I think this would be the best way to go. We'll go to Xeris first. Xeris is simple. He's basically indestructible in this detachment. 2 up, 4 up, 4 up, feel no pain. Toughness 8, 9 wounds. He's an infantry character, so I can stand him back up. Yeah, he's so hard to kill. And he's got blown up when he's within 3 inches of a Necron unit. So I can put characters behind a wall where they can't be seen and have him dangle out 3 inches in front and just move across the board. And he's so good in the early point to be able to get me moving, especially with this all character build. And I could also slap a hex mark next to him and he can just run up the middle because that hex mark will have loan up, and then so will he if he's within 3 inches. So they're basically John Cena of the field and you can't see me. So I started talking about them. Let's jump over into the hex marks. I got 2 hex mark destroyers. One of them is going to have the Veil of Darkness, allows me to deep strike this unit, and then I can up down that unit once per game. Strong enhancement. I feel like it doesn't matter. I'm playing Awakened Dynasty. I should take that too. Very, very good. Strong on him. Horde-wise, these guys could do a little bit of damage for me, but 2 wound orcs, not so much. Next up, Psychomancers. We got 2. These guys help me in the objective control game and stratagem denial. Being able to target a unit, doesn't need to see the unit within 18, make them take a battle shock at -1, can help me to score better on secondaries, or primaries, I'm sorry, by stealing a primary at the beginning of the command phase. Both of them could target the same unit twice, still only be -1, but 2 battle shock tests. They can hit other units that might want to use stratagems on me for defensive purposes and make them fail it so they can't armor contempt and things like that. So these are very cool little utilities, and I like having them in this attachment. And they can hang out in the back and do kind of backfield secondaries too. We got 3 Plasmancers, one of which is going to have the enhancement to basically be a 6-inch aura of +1 to hit for Necron units. Now, mind you, most of my guys do already hit on 2 ups. This is mostly for his 2 other buddies who are going to be nearby because they hit on 4s. Gets them to hit on 3s. I had the points left over with this build, so it seemed like a good enhancement to take. And he can just give +1 to hit. There are some dudes that have 3s to hit in some areas, so that does help out there. But most of the Plasmancers being able to do a chance at up to 4 mortal wounds. You roll target a unit, roll 4 dice. Each 4-up is a mortal wound. So 12 chances on a 4-up to do a mortal wound off these 3 guys can be a lot of damage. Then they have 3 shots apiece. These guys actually put down a decent amount of shooting, not so much in the Horde, but for everything else, they're pretty good. Moving on, the last of the infantry characters are actually 3 Scorepack Lords. These guys are, in fact, infantry, so they can move through walls. They move quick. Toughness 7, 7 wounds, 3-up, 4-up, and one of which, Mr. Scorepack Lord Thanos over there with the Infinity Gauntlet, is going to have the enhancement for a 4-up, Feel No Pain, making him basically a mini Xeris. He is a little bit weaker without having the Lone Op and some of the other things, but it's like having a mini Xeris with that 4-up invuln, 4-up, Feel No Pain, and an infantry unit that can stand back up when he goes down. Scorepack Lords, they smack. They do have a sweep profile, so again, talking about that Horde matchup, that helps. But mostly it's that flat 3 damage that they hit really hard with. They're very resilient and able to just smack bigger things as well. Not up to Land Raider size, but they do have impact damage on the charge, which also helps them get through that. And last, we have 2 Catacomb Command Barges. So last week, I originally put these guys in here combat-based. Then I looked up my previous lists and realized I did have these guys as their shooting base, so we've gone back over to that. Since I don't have a lot of shooting, it felt like a better point for these guys. So they have 2. They both have a Tesla cannon on them for the additional shot and the possibility of sustained hits. So I have potential volume coming off these guys. And the Staff of Light for 3 shots, strength 5, AP 2-1 damage for a little bit of AP. They also do come with a Resurrection Orb. And I know a lot of people were like, well, when are you going to use that? Honestly, as quick as you possibly can. Whenever you see the opportunity and you can do it and heal it, if your opponent has shot at a character and not destroyed it, use it. I had Xeris hanging out in the front, and I moved these guys up, and at the end of my movement phase, I'd smack him with a Resurrection Orb just to get him back to full health. So strong. So strong when him or a Scorepack Lord just gains D6 wounds because you do it at the end of any phase. So you just move this guy up there, advance him if you need to, and heal something. He's a flyby healer. They also give +1 OC, which in some situations can help because some of these characters, Scorepack, Xeris, Silent King, have high objective control values already. So these guys actually do some work. And I think I said last, but actually there is one more unit that I did forget. This is the last unit because they're the only non-infantry, non-vehicle, two-mounted Locust Lord Destroyers. So the Locust Lord Destroyer is just on paper. He's a six, what is it? Toughness six, four, 6 wounds, 4 up, 3 up, 4 up. Nothing too special there. He's got the same type Overlord blade, but then there's two other little abilities that rarely come into effect for this guy. Number one, people normally take the Resurrection Orb because he's leading a squad of Locust Heavies. Why wouldn't you? But when he's by himself, he can take the little Nano Scarab Casket. So now he gets a 5-up Feel No Pain on top of that. Also, this guy, when in combat, he can re-roll hits going into a unit when he makes his attacks. And if that unit is below its starting strength, which is the better one, he gets full, I believe it's full re-rolls to wound. I'll have to double check over that one real quick. But I think it was the, see, I don't even know because it comes up so little. I think it's full re-rolls to wound on that. But yeah, that is the list. All right, just double checked. It's when a unit is below half strength, I get re-roll hits and wounds. So suddenly he just goes in there, smacks, and gets a bunch of devastating wounds. Because a lot of stuff in this army has dev wounds inherently, like the Overlords, the Overlord blades. Catacombs don't have it, so actually, I mean, there's a couple things, I guess, that do. And they do gain those benefits from things like this. All in all, so how this list works for me. Number one, when we talk about MSU, even MSU armies don't typically field 19 units. Now, when we get up to some of the Horde builds, you can get around there where you're fielding 19 units. And when I say 19 units, I'm not meaning 19 units on your data sheet. I mean 19 drops on the table, 19 individual units. I'll count transports as an individual unit because once they drop off their cargo, they can go off by themselves. But your characters are attached to units. That's one unit. For me, my characters don't have any units they're attached to. So they stay individuals for the entire game. So anyone at any time can just break off, like kind of kill team style, can go break off and do a secondary while other units continue to move forward. And with that, it makes it really turns this into a mental game because now my opponent really has to make decisions, especially with so many units going to 10-man squads, max unit size, to maximize the usage of certain stratagems, which makes sense. You have a really strong stratagem that turns a unit into a thing that can shoot anything off the table for 1 or 2 command points or a command point and a stacked ability. Yeah, you take a big brick so that you get the maximum damage out of it. My list plays against that because now when you do that, one thing, if any of those stratagems or abilities can only focus on one unit that unit's targeting, which we do see quite a bit, then they're able to really punch one character, but anything else they split fire into, their stats are weakened, which may mean those other characters survive. Then your opponent also figure out how they want to split fire because these guys can, one of my dudes can just crumble and fall. An Overlord could just fall apart. But an Overlord could just tank at the entire world. Xeris, he's another one who it's like as you get closer to destroying him, do you just push through and finish him off? Or do you let him go because he could possibly tank everything and do no damage to him? Also on top of it, being able to stand back up. Is it worth it to even waste time into him at some of those points? It really makes my opponent have to make decisions and can make mistakes in the priority, or the dice can make it seem like mistakes were made. Because now if you roll bad or I roll hot and a character that should have died lives, that can change a lot of things moving forward with the turn. So that is a lot of and that's where I kind of play in the list. Now, as far as how I expect to move across the board. Now, we do have the hex marks with Start and Deep Strike. One hex mark has Veil. So turns 2 and 3, depending on what secondaries I draw, those hex marks are available to me to assist in scoring those. And depending on, again, which secondaries I draw, is which ones I put into play. I want the Veil to survive. I would like the Veil to be able to be used to pick up that unit. But so that's kind of where it's like I want to see if I can put a hex mark down safely where my opponent cannot get to it. They are lone op. Then I'll put him down there to score those points, knowing I can pick him back up again to use the Veil a second time. But it just depends on what secondary I see, because if I'm going to lose a hex mark, I'll put the one out there that's it doesn't have the enhancement on it if I'm at a risk of losing it. Then you have Xeris with his crazy lone op ability. He can kind of tether off of buildings where characters can move up, like a Scorpack Lord can move up and go into the corner of a building, while Xeris remains 3 inches away from him on the other side of the wall. He can be seen, but he can't be targeted because of the lone op ability. So now Xeris is able to progress up the field and kind of be that threat, be that anchor. He can shoot, he can charge into things, and force your opponent to have to dedicate more to get rid of him because of how durable he is. He can sit on an objective and be that lone op and just kind of dangle out there and go, until you get close enough to actually shoot at me, I'm just going to hold this objective. And when you do get that close, now I can counter move and push into you with other things. The Locust Lords, their 5-up Feel No Pain surprised a lot of people because they don't expect to see it. And that 5-up Feel No Pain comes in handy. Their sudden damage boost and damage output really can make them help, really can help with cleaning up things that we've done damage to and we've hit already that may have pushed back and are weakened. They can help finish those things off really well. Into the Imperial Guard vehicles, I was able to hit those weakened tanks with them, and they just really cracked home on those. That surprised me as well, because that situation hasn't come up as much, and I definitely need to use them more for that. That reroll was huge. But I think that's pretty much it. Like I said with the Catacombs, they run out, they heal, and then they kind of as well play that secondary. They're fast, so they can get to those secondary points and do secondaries or hold an objective marker with a decent OC value and give that boosted OC to a bunch of other units and really mess with my opponent, where they're like, oh, okay, I'll just put a dude up here. It's like, well, so he's a 3, he gets +1 himself, so he's a 4. Now this the Xeris is over here, he's a 3, so now he's going to go up to 4. So actually I have 8 on there with these 2 models. It kind of messes with things a little bit, and I love it. So we're going to be going into Custodes. What I'm looking at with Custodes, they're tough, they're durable, a lot of toughness 6. I do still have the ability to wound on 3s at least, because I do have the strength 8s coming in a lot of different places with a lot of different weapons. At least strength 8. There are a couple of strength 6, but I don't think those are profiles I'm really looking to use, like the Scorpack Sweep profile, because I want the 3 damage. There are some 3 wound Custodes, so it'd be nice to one-shot those and pick those up. I think the Scorpacks are definitely going to be something I'm going to protect, because I'm going to want them to rush in and hit units particularly, and be constantly that threat where 3 Scorpacks can come running out, 3 Scorpack Lords can come running out a wall and slam into a squad of Custodians. Wardens are still tough. I don't know if Lane's going to bring them. Wardens are still tough. There is that new detachment, so Lane could do a bunch of little guys to try to match me 1-for-1 with Unleash the Lions and do that stuff. I don't think I'd be as concerned about that, because then when they break up, then they lose like their detachment buff, because then they're close to each other. So I don't know. I think I might be a little bit happier with that than kind of dealing with Wardens. But we'll see. We'll see. I could be totally wrong, and Wardens could be the bane of my existence of like, oh, well, you have a bunch of little dudes. Well, here, I'll take a bunch of single models too, and we'll just play Kill Team 40K. Well, we'll see. We'll see how it does. All right. Well, that's everything for me. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.